guys, I got something cool. All right, customer's machine. We'll get a closer look at in a bit. It's a POULAN, and it's an 8.5 horsepower, 27-inch, power blower. I mean, this thing's pretty nice. He got it for about $500. I think he pretty much says it doesn't run. I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know what's going on. This is a nice machine. So we're going to go over it. Okay. Now we're supposed to get some weather, and today Monday. I think Wednesday, Thursday we're going to get some weather. So, and it's getting late in the day, and I've been holding off on it. I got my own machines to do too. So we got to kind of make a good time on this. It's interesting because it's got a product number here, and then the manufacturer is Electrolux. Interesting, right? So anyway, let's get started on it, right? I think let's just start off with pulling the plug and getting it clean and seeing what's going on in the plug. And then we're going to tilt it up and we're going to pull the bottom of the carb off. And we'll put some, I got a little bit of old fuel in here that I threw in there just to kind of get rid of my old fuel before I went to the gas station today. So if we spill that, I'm good with that. So let's get started. Let me set you up.
20 minutes later.
Let's take a peek. Feels nice. Even a little bit of white grease around that. I'm going to want to inspect the belts too. Looks sooty. Let me go clean that up. And while we're here, let's pull a compression test. Let's put a little bit of our special sauce in there. Pull it over a few times and we'll just see. We'll spin that all around. Let's get a compression gauge on that. And we'll spin it over electrically. Oh, it feels dry. I gotta check spark too. So let's do the compression first. Did you see that? I don't know. I think you guys might have caught that. The gauge came up real slow. Let's see. We'll do it again. But it did come up at some point. We got a little over about 85 pounds, but it did not come up right away. Like it's taken forever to build compression. I don't know how this thing's going to start. It's got oil in it. It's not very good. It's dark. It smells sweet, but it doesn't smell like gas. All right, so we got a little tranny fluid and two-stroke and regular oil and gas. Let's burn through this one more time. Yeah, it could be the cam, but it could have a head gasket issue, but it's weird. Remember now, we're spinning it real fast. If you're trying to pull this, good luck. Now, it may be that they've got it set up so that you can pull it. That's what those compression pumps do. So they make it so that you can pull it, and it is a big motor. A crap ton of spark and lots of blow coming out of that hole. And like I said, there is a little bit of crappy fuel in it. I wanted to use up some of the fuel I had before I went to the gas station. And we'll go not full rapid, we'll go choke, keys in, try a few little primes. And let's see if she kicks and fires. Alright, so I closed the petcock on it while it was running, and that way it'll run itself out of fuel. So now we're going to stand it up on its end. We'll re-clean that plug. So we know we're okay there. I'm assuming it might have had a stuck valve, but it's a little bit, you know, these things always, especially the Tecumsehs, they kind of do this nonsense with the surging. Just gonna get that out of there. Feels like, yeah, it's congealed fuel. Right? That one's clogged. So I'm gonna run my poker through it. I'll clean that out and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'm just gonna go run over on the bench real quick. And I also noticed that this was off. This is part of the kill, I would think. So we're gonna put that back on.
A few moments later.
Let's take a little bit of our two-stroke specialty mix. Okay, so we got the bowl super clean. Bowl's nice and clean. Now the flat, this part here, goes to the back of the fulcrum area, right? So we'll consider that the back. So we are super clean. Alright, so we're going to put a little bit of our two-stroke on the gasket here. And then down in here we want to get it on, see if we can get it on the gasket itself, on the bowl gasket. Sweeten it up a little bit. Get it on the threads. Get it on the fulcrum. Alright. And now again, the flat to the rear. Nice. So it's on the thread so that we don't cross thread or anything. Feels nice. Nice shape. It's nice working on something like this. Alright, we're basically done. Now, we don't know if it's going to run any better. We got to get the plug out, but we'll do the plug in a little bit. We have a few other things to do. Now, I want to put a little oil on this. Okay, we're going to spray a little bit of oil up in there. So we want to get it on a few mechanisms if we can. It's this mechanism here. And a choke rod mechanism. And then we'll get it on the throttle. Now, just closing it down. Okay. Now we have a whole number of other areas to lubricate. So, okay, so I lubed all up in here. And we'll get to all of this. I think what I'm going to do is set the cameras up. We want to get in from behind. And so we get down in here, we can take a peek, make sure the disc is clean. And then we'll deal with that, and then we'll take the tires off and we'll lube the axles so that it's done. Alright, this one's 1/2 inch. So let's just pop this off. And now, so you get 2 bolts here and it looks like 2 down there. And it looks like this is a separate bolt, so it should split here. The scraper looks great. The thing is like new. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's get a little lubricant on it. That's a problem. You could tell it's that salt. Croil it. Yeah, it helped. Yeah, it did. It helped. It works. Croil, baby. Now it's not for everything, but it's great for body bolts like this. Alright, let's pick it up. Oh, nice. I'll wipe that out. Okay, this looks real good. We'll blow that out. We want to get some... my favorite stuff to use is bar and chain lube. Excuse me. Chain lube for motorcycles and stuff. The wax. Let's blow that out. Yeah, forgive me. I say things sometimes and, you know, words are painful. Words become painful. And I'm shot today, but I got to do it because the storm's coming and I kept promising them. And I don't even have mine. I have one kind already that I made. Let's blow it out with some high pressure air. And so I use a combination of things. Hold your ears, watch your eyes, put your glasses on. Alright, so for this, I say she looks pretty good. Now there's a couple of things I like to do. Alright, and generally motor oil, alright, but not for everything, and be careful where you put it. So we want the motor oil in the corners. Just a little bit. A tiny drop. Seriously. Because the rest of it, we're going to use that other stuff. And you'll see what I mean. Oh man, she looks really, really good. Now down here is well away from the disc. You want to be away from the disc. And here's a lube point. We'll put a little lube in there. There's another lube point. Put a lube in there. Now, you got to be careful because it'll pee out. Just suck it right into the bearing. I just put a little bit because we're going to finish up with the good stuff. chain wax. I gotta get more of this stuff. Now, a little bit back where we wanted to go. It goes on like a liquid and then waxes up. See? Now we'll put a little bit in here. We're going to blow some of this out. Get a little bit on that. That's going to blow up here. And I'm not worried about it dripping just yet. This is a wax, so again, I'm not worried about it dripping yet. We're going to, after we're done lubing it, we're going to make sure that disc is clean and that nothing's dripping. Down here we don't care if it drips. In any pivot area, I just don't want to get in your way, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Any area that pivots, anywhere. You know, if you miss a spot, it's not the end of the world, but we're good. Now, what we're going to do now, let me go fetch a rag. Now, one of the things you can do if you're afraid about getting oil all over the place, okay, put a rag over it. That's a nasty spot. So, but I'm never that worried about it. Let's exercise it a little bit. Now, why are we stuck? So I'm just trying to hit every point I can see. Yeah, it's working. It's just stuck, briefly. Now this drips away from it, so we don't really have to worry about it, okay? And that's why I put the stuff in there. That's where you kind of lube it up and fill it from. And it sucked it in, so. Now, if it's kind of beat, I'll use acid and Scotch-Brite, but this one's in beautiful shape, so we're not going to do that because it actually still has some alidine on it. It's got a like a coating that's plated on. And then we'll get the rubber in a minute. Now we're going to have to move it. And again, that stuff, that wax, that's going to set up. Now, what we're going to do next, put some on our rag and roll it on a rubber wheel. You guys seeing that? Oh my. It's in good shape, see? And we're basically done here. It's in beautiful shape. Okay. Now I'd like to try to get, we want to get that bearing up in there if we can. And over here too, with the chain wax. Alright, I already got that guy, but we're going to try to get that. And then up in here. Alright, we should be okay. Alright, when I come back, we'll do a little walk around this area. But I'm going to go clean the bottom of that plate off. I'm just going to wipe it with a rag, and I'll be back in a minute.
5 minutes later.
So I cleaned the rubber wheel. That's what you saw. This is the disc. And you want to make sure that it's absolutely clean. So if you want to lube it, what you can do, if you're concerned, throw a piece of paper on that or something, cardboard. All right. So all these gears here, they got lubed up into the bearing areas and stuff. And once you get below this area, all right, I wouldn't have to worry about it. I didn't get really any on the belt. And this bearing, that's what that hole is for. And there's another one down there, which you may not see. There's not enough light. All right, so every area that you can see that there's a pivot, these pillow blocks and stuff, bearing blocks, you want to get those. And now we're working in this region. So I did these, and then I sprayed a little bit up here, but we're going to come back up here and lube. Again, with chain wax. Best thing to use for a snowblower just everywhere. And actually, it's just a damn good lubricant. So I want to get some more of that. All right. Let's take the tires off and just put regular grease on those axles. All right, let's pull these off. It's just like a clevis pin. A clevis pin. I'll show you. I'll show you. Grab a pair of needle-ish nose. Now, I think they might be a little stuck, so just pull them out. Okay. Now all I want to do here is I just want to take it off, clean the shaft, and we also got to check the air pressure, but you see it's a little bit nasty, and so we're just going to air up the tires. I mean, this machine is like new. Alright, I'm just going to give it a wipe down. Get a crappy rag. Ooh, dirty rag. Just put a little bit of blaster on it. And then we'll grease it up, just regular grease. And we can get it all, that'll help us to clean too. I don't care if I spill it on everything because it'll help clean the rest of the machine. Actually, I gotta go in and service my burner. I just took a rag. I literally just had a rag. The rag I was choosing for this. Here it is. Now, if it's bad, I'll wire wheel them. Right? But if we service, a couple of rags here. If you service this regularly, yeah, that cleaned up nice. I like that coil. It's got like a little S in it. Same thing with the coil and the other stuff that I use, the blaster. I use just some, old bearing grease. And I'm going to try to get as much on as I can. Now you can also put your chain wax on. Basically touch everything. I'm going to bolt this up, guys. I'm going to reposition, and we'll move on to the next step.
Eventually.
We want to do the oil, but before we do that, what we'll do is we want to warm it up, and we want to check what we did. Okay, so we're just going to give it a quick test. So I turned the valve on. We still have this kind of beat gas in here. So I turned the valve on. We're going to start it up, and then we'll just kind of like check out a few things, make sure she's running okay. And then I'm going to close the valve, let it run out of gas, and then we'll dump the oil and clean the plug and a few other little things. So let's get started on that. We'll choke it, prime it. Alright, we're going to let it air out a little bit. Now we're going to get the oil out. So they run like crap, okay? When they're not under load, a lot of these Tecumsehs do that. Hold on, let me open the door. Burn my eyes. A lot of these Tecumsehs will do that. That's how they run. But you notice when I put the auger on and running the auger, she leans out or she cleans up. So that's just what they do. I'm just going to pull the plug too. Don't forget. Much cleaner. It's running a lot cleaner. Let me just clean this one more time, you know, with the plug cleaner, and then we'll put it back in. But you can see already she's running much cleaner. That's nice and clean. All right, a little bit of anti-seize on the threads.
20 minutes later.
Okay, let's put the plug back in. Now, for those of you that might be beginners, you might say, well, how tight do I make it? Well, you got to feel it, all right? This type of plug has a gasket on it. It's like a washer, all right? So it's going to crush a little, especially if it's new. Now I'm going to snug it, all right? So it's actually snugged right now. Now, if the gasket hasn't really crushed, I can go a little bit more. So I'm just going to make sure that the socket and the wrench stay straight down, perpendicular to the head. Straight down, and then just going to, and a little bit more. And that's it. I can feel it, right? It's not like you got to make it super tight. That's definitely not the thing. All right, let's get some oil in. Now, I'm not sure how much it takes. I would imagine it's more than a 5.5 horsepower. So they take about 20 ounces, 22. So what I've done is I've put some in one of my paint mixing containers, and I have a line on this for referencing off at Tecumseh and Briggs. Just to give me a reference point so I don't overfill, because it's the worst when you overfill. You don't want to dump it back out. I just made a mess. So let's just start. And just any good 10W30 oil. You don't need anything fancy. And I would do it every couple of years. Depends on how much you use it. Okay, so this is about 20 ounces or so. So I doubt it's enough, but we're going to let it kind of drain down, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to check it. And then I'm going to mix up some gas that I just bought fresh. Then that has stable in it. And then I'm going to put a little bit of tranny fluid and two-stroke, just a small amount, just in case he doesn't use it. Because you know what? It just got colder out. It's been raining all day. We're supposed to get that storm. And that can happen here in Long Island. It was warm today. It looks, well, it was nasty because it was raining. But I mean, I think warm is anything that's not freezing, where water freezes. As far as I'm concerned, water freezing is terrible. It's like a sin. That should do it. I'm not going to split hairs. I'll show you the gas. All right, this is gas from last year. I mean, it's still burnable, but we can't leave this in that machine. I mean, what if he doesn't use it? What if it doesn't snow? Last year it didn't snow. Year before that it didn't snow. Certainly not enough to use something like this, you know. So, all right. I'm gonna mix up some fuel, and I'll be back in a bit and tidy up. Let's tidy up. So now, like I said, there is stable in the fuels. I added in a little bit of two-stroke and a little bit of transmission fluid, okay? And it gives it a real amber look. So my gases have this in it anyway, generally, to varying degrees. So it took about 32 ounces, you know, roughly, because I had filled this container up. So it filled it, you know, pretty much up to about the 32 ounce mark, and took it. Okay, so roughly. And that way I'm not over full. All right. Let me wipe it down. I'm going to pull it back a little, and I'll run it over there. I'm going to run it until it runs out of fuel. So I'm going to start it up, close the petcock down, and then let it run out with the doors open. So let me show you the oil. If you like gross oil, doesn't smell like gas was in it or anything. You know, it's your typical gross black oil. So she needed it. She needed what was going on here. I gotta put that away tomorrow. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go do it now. Alright guys, next up, put a little oil in the corners like I was saying, you know, of the rotisserie. Okay, choke on. A little prime. And a little button action. Yay! Nice, huh? Alright, I think we're done with that. Okay guys, I think we're done. There's nothing left to do. This was a really simple one. Took me about a half a day and I was milking it. Right? Because, well, I'm tired today. Did I mention my back hurts? Did I mention my camera broke? Did I mention, I don't know, what else did I mention? What else? I'm old. I gotta complain. Okay? I'm allowed. So, we're done here and there's really nothing else to do. We went through the motor quickly, went through the carburetor quickly, we got all that sorted, we got the gas cleaned out, the tank cleaned out, we have it sort of semi-winterized, right? I could, you know, I got to turn it on again to get it up in his, up the ramps and into his truck tomorrow, so you can't really winterize it like that. Plug is clean thoroughly, it's a good plug, everything's in nice shape. We lubricated the axle shafts, we lubricated inside in the gearbox area. We cleaned off the disc, right, the friction disc. We cleaned off the friction material on the wheel, the rubber wheel. We pretty much went through this whole thing. Everything is lubed. We gave it a check. It has my seal of approval. It starts, it runs well. It is a Tecumseh, so they do run a little weird, these snowblower engines. They just do. She's in beautiful shape. And so I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was a simple one. This is about as simple as it gets. If you keep your machine like this is all you need to do every year, and maybe every 2 years, really. But you got to run it, and you really should run something through it every year. You should run stable and maybe a little two-stroke or something in through it. Get that gas out. There's that little valve on the bottom of the carburetor. Press that. Let it. I did that when I first put the gas in. It was bone dry. I tried to let it run through a little bit. All I could do at that point is move some of the junk out of the way, but it's still in the bowl. If you do it regularly, you'll get it out of the bowl, you'll keep it from building up, and you won't have all that nonsense that we found in the bowl of this carburetor. So, alright guys, like and subscribe. I hope you like this one. And, you know, it's a POULAN made by it says Electrolux on it. So, I'll have to get a shot of that right before closing. I'll see if I can put it like right here. See, look, it says Electrolux on it. I told ya! And we're done. It's got a nice light on it too. See you guys later. Next.